You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/day to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/day for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Are you a movie buff? Do you love dissecting and analyzing your favorite films? Look no further than the Projection Booth podcast. Join host Mike White and a bevy of guest experts as they explore the history, themes, and legacy of cult classics, obscure gems, and mainstream hits. Join us every week for a unique and engaging look at your favorite movies. So sit back, grab some popcorn, and tune in to the Projection Booth podcast. Available on all major podcast platforms.
Weird Way Media.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bollywood Cinema Club. I am the host of the Culturecast, Chris Stachiw. On every episode of the Bollywood Cinema Club, we take a look at an Indian cinema film every episode. There you go. On this episode, I am joined by my good friend. She is the owner and proprietor of Mondo Heather and a writer over at Diabolique, your friend and mine, Heather Drain.
Hello, hello.
Aamir Khan lover, Heather Drain.
I am full on converted, and that is thanks to you, Chris.
He is something, and he is in this a whole lot. This being 2016's Dangal, roughly translated as wrestling competition. So the film is directed by Nitesh Tiwari. It is written by Nitesh Tiwari, Piyush Gupta, Shreyas Jain, and Nikhil Mehrotra. And it is based on the real-life story of Mahavir Singh Phogat, a amateur wrestler who trains his two daughters to wrestle in the Commonwealth Games. Now, as us Americans may not know what the Commonwealth Games are, imagine the Olympics for all the countries that the British imperialist hand touched. And you've got the Commonwealth Games. So it's essentially smaller Olympics, but on the same scale. And he trained his daughters, his two very put upon daughters, apparently, to be female wrestlers. And no, not the kind of wrestling that Heather and I initially thought when I pitched this movie. But that's okay because, well, Heather, I'm going to kick it to you first. What did you think of Dangal?
Oh my goodness. And that's the thing, because as Chris knows, I'm still very much a sort of babe in the woods with Indian cinema. And that's why I've been loving working with Chris on exploring this, because it's something like, I'm like, okay, I know I need to learn more. And so when you brought up this movie, I knew Aamir Khan because he was in Rangila, which you and I talked about, and which I loved, and he was great. And so my takeaway was this film. I mean, it was so good, and Aamir Khan is like the thriving heart of it. Like his performance, his presence, and I mean, everybody's good in this movie. Like, there's really this film is such a really well-made film. Like, there's a few little issues and we'll get into those. But I mean, it's a great film. It's very inspirational. It's proof that you can have a film that's almost 3 hours long, which that's the thing I've been learning, is that a lot of the Bollywood movies tend to be very long, but the ones I've been watching and that you've been turning me on to, Chris, like they have such a great pace to them. Like that's the thing. This film doesn't feel too long. It doesn't feel bloated. It doesn't feel like it's, doesn't really feel like there's a lot of filler. Like it just has a good clip to it. It has a really great positive message. I think, especially, people, I think, especially us in the West, we tend to kind of get up our own bums a little bit. And we don't get, and in defense, like a lot of people aren't pushed to look outside their own sphere either in our culture, which is a shame. But people maybe forget that, there's still a lot of parts in this world where girls, because I mean, that's the thing. This isn't set in the 50s. I mean, this was set in they were little girls, like what, the 80s?
Yeah, they were both born in like the late 80s. So this takes place in the 80s and 90s. And yeah, like you kind of mentioned, ostensibly the modern, 2010. So
yeah. So you have a village where these two girls cut their hair. They're training as wrestlers. They at one point are wearing like, kind of cargo length short pants.
Right.
To train in, and like there are people you can see judging and mocking them, and it's like which is so messed up. But it's like, that kind of, I mean, we have sexism over here in the States, we have plenty of it, but I mean that's not that degree. The fact that film even goes into like, that there's still girls that are married off at a young age, and that's basically their role, is to be like, to get married, breed, cook and clean, and die, and that's still very prevalent in our world. So this film is like, it's such a great mix of like, it gives you food for thought. It has a positive message. The music's really good. The acting's great. And Aamir Khan, as my heart sings to the heavens and the angels above, Aamir Khan.
I think the thing I would start this kind of episode off, similar to something Jess Byard said on an episode where we were talking about K3G, a rom-com. I do not have any interest, for the most part, in sitting through a biopic, let alone a sports biopic. Like, those biopics are a pretty far stretch for me to get interested in, because normally they're very formulaic. You know what you're getting, especially music biopics. I mean, oh my God. And then Johnny Cash got hooked on drugs, and then he got hooked off of drugs, and then he performed, and then that's it. Like, that Walk Hard did a sufficient job making fun of movie-based biopics. Sports-based biopics have the same problem. It's just whatever the constraints of the sports film genre are, those are going to be the kind of trappings of a sports biopic. So this is as far from the kind of movie as I would normally watch. Just getting that out of the way right at the top. I say all that because this movie was fantastic.
Right. No, that's such an excellent point. And same, because you and I talked about, before we started recording, about how if this film was made in Hollywood, if this was an American film, I would not watch it.
No, I would have negative interest in watching this movie. This would not be on my radar, even though it is a wrestling movie. I still would have no interest.
Yeah. Yeah. And, but I think especially because though like you said, beat for beat, what ride you're going to be in for. So why even bother? And that's that. But that was kind of the fun journey with the Dangal. Am I saying it right?
Yeah, you are.
Dangal. Yeah.
You are.
But because, here it was getting to take a journey where we're going to see things that we weren't totally prepared for, even though, like, we both probably went into it knowing how it was going to end, because obviously it's based on a true story, and if you fact check things, but
and they must have been successful enough to have a movie made about them. So
right, but the way everything is presented and handled was new. Like, it felt new enough. But I also think this would film, like, if you had somebody that, if you're listening to this, you have a friend who's like very much into Western cinema, and they're kind of more on the like mainstream side, Like they're very much, they love Disney films, which by the way, Chris Stachiw is the magic man. Nobody else could get me to watch a Disney film. The mouse touched this movie, Chris.
And that's the crazy thing. I mean, this movie was essentially created by Divya V. Rao, who is a part of Disney India's creative team, who read a newspaper article about Mahavir Phogat and was like, this would make a good story. And so Disney went to Nitesh Tiwari and was like, write the story for us. And that's how this came into being. So this is a Disney kind of joint from the get-go. And that was so crazy to me. But at the same time, so amazing to watch this movie and have the Disney opening play over it. Like, if that does not smack of the times are changing and things are becoming more accessible and more expectedly accessible, I don't know what does, other than a Disney film that is completely based in India, Indian cast, Indian director, Indian everything.
Yeah, that was, no, I heard that Disney ident music and I was like, I literally was like, what? Like, wait, I'm like looking behind me, like, what is going on? Like, what did you send me? And then I'm like, oh wait, no, it is Dangal. Like for a second, I was like, oh God, is this the right movie? Yeah. And but you know what? Kudos to Disney. Like, kudos to Disney for giving money to this film. And it's funny because, you know, we're talking about this film like it's a cult film, and it is probably for us and for maybe, you know, any sort of like a lot of Americans maybe listening to this. This film outside of the US did crazy box office.
Yeah.
Like this is
insane.
A huge blockbuster. I mean, I think, did I read, Chris, this was, I think, on Wiki, so mileage may vary. This outgrossed like Wonder Woman and one of the Spider-Man movies, I think, in either India or China.
Yeah. And this is the 19th highest grossing sports film.
Hello, filthy movie lovers. My name is Gentry Austin.
And I'm Casey Scott.
And we're the hosts of The Sin Syndicate, film podcast for something weirdos, anti-criterion bros, and Joseph Sarno aficionados. Join us semi-weekly as we peer into the adults-only theaters and sticky-floored cinemas of the golden age of sexploitation, when the morals were loose, the laws were murky, and the intercourse was all simulated. Find us now on the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
In the world?
What?
Up against things like some of the things that are on the list, though I'm not sure I would agree. Hunger Games, Fast and the Furious, Forrest Gump. I mean, those
those aren't sports movies.
Gladiator's not a sports movie either, Wikipedia. But okay.
blood. It's a blood sport.
Yeah, but it made 2,200 crore, which is a lot of money. I mean, that's $250-300 million, something like that.
It's a lot. It's a lot of change.
That's a lot of money.
A whole lot of Skrilla, as the kids call it.
Skrilla. Get all that Skrilla.
Get all that Skrilla.
It was very popular in China. I mean, it took in $216 million in China.
Well, and the thing, like reading about our man Aamir Khan. As like the angels keep singing because it's Aamir Khan. Apparently, he's so popular in China that his popularity is responsible for like sort of helping softening the relationship between India and China.
Yeah.
That's insane. Yeah. That is how popular he is.
Yeah, he received an honorary title in China in 2017, a year after this movie came out.
I mean, can we think of a current Hollywood star that has that kind of clout to soften political relations?
Well, and that is the thing that I've mentioned on this show before, and it is hard to kind of reinforce to, you know, non-Indian cinema watching Westerners, like, you really can't comprehend anymore. I mean, like, they, or even I can't really comprehend the level of adulation that someone like Aamir Khan or someone like Rajnikant gets from their fans, both in India and abroad. Like, they're venerated. I mean, that's the only way to describe it. You're completely right. There are no actors that anyone in this country would be like, oh, I'm glad that they eased tensions with Russia. Like,
yeah.
That's not a thing.
No. I mean, and that's...
Nobody can agree on anything in this country. We don't have a general consensus that we want someone representing us, but Aamir Khan, all right. Like, that speaks volumes.
Oh my gosh. I know. And that's, yeah, God, that's sad. Yeah, people in this country argue over who has the best chicken sandwich. It's like, come on.
Well, they have to know the answer.
You're like,
we have to figure out what the answer is to that question.
Lives hang in the balance, train. Come on.
Yeah, right. I mean, obviously, you know, like you mentioned, the last time we did an Indian cinema film, we did Rangeela over on the Culture Cast, and that was the first time you'd seen an Indian cinema film. That was my first one. And what an entry. That was so, like, you've got me hooked, Chris. Like, the more you're kind of giving me, the more I'm just like, you know, yes, give me more. I want to learn more, especially because it's like, it's so exciting because it's I think even like with cult film or, you know, film writers, people get locked in the grooves of just like, you know, and I think it's dangerous to do that. I think it's a little dangerous to just be like having a steady diet of American directors or European directors, or, you know, you'll have a few sort of Criterion approved directors, right, you know, from like Asia, but that's it. And it's like, no, there's a whole world. There's a whole other world out there. And, you know, I think even Bollywood tends to be something that seems to be, the more I'm learning about it, very like, people, I think Americans just think it's this one little thing, like, oh, crazy dance numbers. And it's like, man, no, that's like saying, oh, Hollywood films, it's got it's got a dude with the pants on. Like, no, there's way more to it than that. And Bollywood. Chris and Heather present Dude with the Pants On.
That's our new podcast. So stay tuned for that.
Dude with the pants on.
But I mean, like, no, with Indian cinema, it's a whole world. The breadth of what's going on in India from beginning to now is sort of, to me, it's sort of awe-inspiring. Like, and I definitely want to learn more and just keep learning more about it. And the fact that you've gotten me excited about something, this is mainstream as mainstream can get in India.
Pretty much, yeah.
This film, and it's fucking great.
It's funny that you mentioned how mainstream this movie is, though, because in my mind, you know, like you said, in my mind, obviously, I understand how mainstream it is. It's really, like you said, about as mainstream as it gets in India, but yet it was on Netflix up until just recently. You could just watch it on Netflix.
What happened, Netflix? Why is it not on Netflix anymore?
I don't know. I think it must be like a Disney, maybe it's like a Disney Plus thing, because it is technically a Disney movie.
I hope it's on, because I'm trying to get, seriously, like, this is what I'm actually trying to get, like, my family to watch, because I think, like, I'm like, my mom would love this movie. Like, this is kind of a really great gateway movie. You know, I think people, so. You know, and plus, like, the whole cast, as much as I'm praising Aamir Khan and who everybody should praise, because he's amazing. The whole cast, I think, is really great. And I was actually impressed because, like, the actresses playing his two main daughters are really good. Like, but all the actresses are, because you see them when they're pretty young, and then when they're like young adults. Right. But I'm not the biggest fan of kids in movies, as Chris knows. For any of you Gamera fans, I call it the Kenny factor, which is basically like kids as protagonists in movies can get a little precocious and it could be a bit much, unless you just have a really talented kid actor with good writing, you know, which does happen. It does happen, but a lot of times it's just like, oh no, not children in movies, please. But the kids, like the two young actresses playing Geeta and Babita, were great. I thought they were very likable, very charismatic. I thought, in fact, in some ways, almost like, are the younger ones almost more compelling than their older versions? Like,
well, that's the thing about this movie, and it's kind of come up now in several of these Indian cinema films that we've been watching for the show. There are flashbacks or time jumps or, you know, unique kind of framing devices where they allow for either a role to be recast with a different actor or recast with an older actor or something to that effect. And I was actually wondering the same thing because like you said, for the most part, can point to every time a child actor is in a movie, the movie is either lesser because of it or lesser than the other movies in that series because of it. So something like The Mummy. The Mummy Returns is a lesser movie, not just because there's a child in it, but he doesn't help. Star Wars Episode 1, it's not a great movie, but actively not a movie worth checking out because the children actors in that movie are so awful. I mean, they really are. So yeah, to your point, like I was wondering the same thing. I think for me, I found the first half of this movie to be more compelling only because the first half of this movie is less formulaic than the second half.
I agree. I didn't think of it in those terms, but I actually 100% agree with that. And especially because you did have more of a sort of dynamic where, because the girls, even though they're natural fighters, as their father discovers, which that was great. The whole reveal, where he's just all bummed out because he didn't have any sons. It's like the wrestling lineage will die now. And then all of a sudden he finds out his two little adorable moppets are little bruiserweights over there. But they didn't want to be wrestlers. And there's definitely there's points where even you, I think, as a viewer, is like, man, is this even ethical? Like, should you really be pushing your kids to do your dream if it's not their dream, but I kind of liked the fact that the film puts you in that headspace, because I think that's the difference. I think if this was more Hollywood, it would be a little more pie-eyed. It'd be a little bit more like, oh, daddy, and instead you have these two kind of like not independent, but these two girls that are very much their own little people.
As independent as they can be as children, really.
Exactly. And, I liked that. I liked that I felt like it kind of humanized him a little bit, because you don't think he's an asshole. You don't think he's an awful person, but you do kind of be like, man, is he pushing them that hard? Also, this is a side note, but did they give him like prosthetic ears? Because they looked like he had cauliflower ear, which is something real. Like if anybody follows a lot of wrestling, like if you get hit in your ears enough, like you'll see like old wrestlers with battle scarred looking ears,
like Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, Brock. Sorry, Brock
Lesnar. It's only been it took us 20 minutes to get to that point. I figured one of us would drop something before this. I think they must have given him ears. I mean, Aamir Khan does have a distinct kind of silhouette or profile, I guess, with his rather large ears. But I think they did give some like scarring on his ears or something, because it looks like it, which is a great touch. It's a great small detail to really reinforce.
Yeah, I thought so too. And speaking of the details, can we talk about the Mr. Raging Bull over here with that physical transformation?
Oh my God.
I thought it was a deep fake, to be honest, because I was like, we see him super young and jacked. Like jacked.
jacked.
Like he's like looking at like Wolverine saying, hold my beer.
Yeah.
Like super jacked to like sexy dad bod. Like,
I was looking online to find like any information about like the physical transformation he went through, and I found shockingly little.
Oh, I found a video. I'll send you the video.
Okay.
Most of it is in Hindi, but a little bit of it's English. But they actually interview Aamir Khan, and they have footage of him from each point, like him training to get super jacked, of him eating what he wanted to when he was playing the older version of his character. But I guess that was all him.
That's amazing.
Is that not? And he got in that kind of shape in 5 months.
I mean, if that's all you're doing, though.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm like, I good on him. Gives that amount of discipline. And
doesn't eat spicy, pickled, or oily foods. You can't eat it. No more Golgappas for you.
And and I mean, and he's only jacked in the film for like 5 minutes,
if that,
if even that. Like he did all that work for not even probably 5 minutes.
It's like one wrestling scene and then like one further flashback, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. That's it. And the rest of the time, he's just got like this wonderful.
He's got love handles and everything. When they shoot him from behind, the look of him is just so funny, because he looks so different from Aamir Khan in anything else I've ever seen him in.
Yeah. I think it was a good look, personally.
He pulls it off.
Yeah. I was like, hi, sir.
I mean, Aamir Khan looks nothing like the actual Mahavir Singh Phogat. I mean, he just he doesn't look anything like it.
They show a picture at the end credits, and you're like, and I chuckled. I'm like, oh, this is like. This is the real life guy was probably like, oh my god, they cast this hot ass guy to play me. That's awesome. That's it.
Aamir Khan is playing me. You couldn't have gotten anybody better. Like,
yeah, I love that, especially because the actresses like look reasonably kind of like the real life equivalents, like the daughters.
Yeah, they do.
Like especially the actress that plays grown-up Babita, she looks a lot like the real-life Babita.
Yeah. Oh, she really does.
I mean, they almost could be twins. Like, it's uncanny. But like when it comes to the dad, no, it's Aamir Khan.
Yeah, like it's well, and that's the thing about this movie is obviously it really is it's an Aamir Khan vehicle, and Aamir Khan would. Aamir Khan would win the 62nd Filmfare Award, which is their equivalent of the Academy Awards. This film won Best Film, Best Director, Best Actor as well, and Best Action, which is a thing that we should have, but it's not. Which is
why don't we have that?
Because we're too up our own ass as a film industry.
Well, awards are problematic, and American awards are super duper just. I don't know. That's
up our own ass. Just like can't have fun. A movie that wins the Oscar can't be fun.
Oh no, but it can be. It's just as much as contrived, if not more so, than an action film.
Right.
But it's serious.
And that's what's crazy is this is the movie that wins the 62nd Filmfare Award. This movie would maybe get nominated if it were a Western film. Maybe not. Like maybe not. Actually, I don't know. If they made this movie in the States and this was a Disney movie and it was made with whoever, actor in the Aamir Khan role and two female actresses who were then, whoever the fuck plays the older versions, would this movie be as good? I don't think so. I don't even think it would be worth talking about.
No, agreed. It would just be, I'm trying to even think of like, what's the last kind of type of film I saw that's American that has like a sort of,
Did you see Foxcatcher?
Scenes. No, I think it was Cool Runnings.
When I was watching this, I was thinking a little bit of Foxcatcher, the movie that has like Steve Carell and Mark Ruffalo and Channing Tatum about the DuPont guy who had the American wrestling team, and then he murdered. Steve Carell was nominated for an Oscar for it. That's the only reason it kind of jumps. The only reason it kind of jumps to my mind is again, it was kind of like an important, critically acclaimed movie.
Right. Okay. You can tell that's how much I pay attention to Oscar films.
But that's that's the thing. Yeah. It's just I'm with you. I don't hold the Oscars in very high regard.
Nobody
for good
should.
Reason.
Yeah, nobody should, because it's basically just like student council. It's just a popularity contest for a very small group of people that have the most boring taste, and they pick what's to be expected and what's quote unquote respectable.
Well, and I do wonder, again, obviously we're Westerners viewing the Indian kind of filmmaking landscape through a Western lens. I'm sure they have the same problems over there. I'm sure there are people that are probably super cynical about someone like Aamir Khan, super cynical about someone like Alia Bhatt. There are people that are cynical about the big actors, I'm sure. Because, again, they're the big actors, and people in this country are cynical about the big actors in this country. I'm not a super huge fan of Tom Cruise. I'm just not. Like, I'm sure there are plenty of people that are not big fans of Aamir Khan. I'm sure not everybody loves him as much as we do.
That they should.
but again, like that's, I know. But again, it is hard for us. I mean, again, it would be like someone like hearing me say I'm not a fan of Tom Cruise. Like if they saw Top Gun or any of the other multitude of movies that go across the pond, either direction. I mean, those movies are massively successful because of who's in the movie.
True. Well, and still, like Top Gun 2. Is that what it's called? Or is it called Top
Maverick.
Guns? It should be called Top Guns.
Topper Guns.
Tops Guns.
It should have been called Top Gun Bottoms Only.
That's a different movie.
Is it though?
I mean, I would probably.
Yeah, I'd be more inclined to watch that movie as well, frankly.
Oh man, Jeff Stryker? Like, what?
Stephen Jeffries would be in that movie.
Oh my god. Oh, now I'm torn because I love him, but I'm like, I don't know if Evil Ed.
In the role of playing Tom Cruise's second mate, Long Goose.
Okay, now I would watch it. Damn it, Chris.
Tried to warn you. I tried to warn you.
What was it? Top Guns Bottoms Up?
No, Top Gun Bottoms Only.
Bottoms. Are you? But if there's nothing but bottoms, nobody's gonna get top.
But there's only one Top Gun.
Oh, that's kind of boring.
They're all verse bottoms, okay?
Just a bunch of slayings and
God, how far we've strayed from God's loving life. How do you personally feel about sports movies?
I don't like most sports, to be honest.
Fair.
So, I mean, that's the thing. Like, if a movie's about a subject matter that you're not pulled to organically, then you're pulled to watch that movie's going to lessen, I think, quite a bit. I'm not saying I'm opposed to watching something like, I know there's a lot of good sports movies out there that I haven't seen, like The Longest Yard. I haven't seen The Longest Yard. I'm talking about the original with Burt Reynolds.
Not the one that has Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bill Goldberg in it?
Wait, are you serious? Are they both in that?
They're in the Adam Sandler one.
I'm talking about both versions then. I didn't know Stone Cold was in that. That's all you have to say.
Yeah.
Chris's Stone Cold impersonation gives me life. I need that as my new ringtone. It's just be like, Heather. I can't do it.
I was waiting in this movie for because they do. I mean, again, the wrestling that you and I kind of have bonded over has its roots in obviously real amateur wrestling. So when they were doing some of the moves in this movie, I couldn't help but chuckle.
Oh my gosh, I know. Well, and I like some of the stuff I was getting into. I mean, that's the thing. Even if you're just if you're more like the professional wrestling, like Chris and I are, there's still like the matches. Like some of the matches are so good. I mean, I got into a lot of the action where I was like, yeah, like you could get that, and that whole like flipping people over.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like I know nothing about amateur wrestling, the kind of wrestling like you mentioned where you score points and you flip people on their back. And I knew nothing about it going into this movie. And by the end of it, I would watch wrestling on ESPN.
I would be tempted. I always was under the illusion that a lot of it was just grappling, which in my opinion, a lot of grappling can get kind of boring.
Catch can, as they might say.
Right. It's just like, it just looks like they're hugging, which is sweet, but it's like, okay, like, come on. Like,
what are y'all doing? Y'all hugging out there?
Y'all hug. Come on. Give him a smooch. Give him a little smooch.
Give him a little pat on the behind.
But I'm like, come on, dude, diamond cutter. Come on. Like DDT.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, there is some of that in here. I mean, that's the thing about this movie is even though it is amateur wrestling, not professional wrestling, at least not the kind of professional wrestling that WWE and AEW do, those wrestling scenes at the Commonwealth Games are so entertaining and so well shot that you can't help but get invested. You can't help but, I'm sure that when this movie was playing in theaters, people were jumping out of their seats and, screaming and yelling. It's so well done that, you, like you mentioned, you do know where this is going. They're going to win. There's not a question of that. They have to win. They're not changing the narrative, but they do a good enough job of ratcheting up the tension and amping up the suspense and giving you, the viewer, just enough doubt in your mind that, wait, maybe they won't win. But I mean, again, like it's hard to give a movie that's based off of real life stakes, but they manage to in those wrestling scenes. They really do.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Well, and especially because a lot of like the people they cast as opponent are like, I don't know if they cast people that are real life, wrestlers, because I know the actors were trained by a wrestler. So it's like you have actors who were trained to do that, not the other way around. But their opponents look fierce. Like they look like, you're like, oh, especially my favorite was the girl from Nigeria.
Yeah.
Because her guns alone, I was like, oh shit, that's when I was like, oh God, I actually was like, maybe she's not going to win this. Like, even though I'm like you, I do, like, we know how this is going to end. That opponent, I was like, oh shit, is she going to be able to beat this girl? Because she was like, oh, she was ferocious. But then you see all the strategy, put into that. Like, it's like a chess game. It's like, oh, this is so cool. And that's the thing too, is that this movie did a great job of getting you to appreciate the psychology of the game. And I think that's something you and I are used to with professional wrestling.
Right.
And because that's the thing, a lot of people that aren't into wrestling just assume, oh, it's just two people throwing each other around in underwear, which it can be that. And there's nothing wrong with that for the record.
It is literally and technically that, yes.
But there is a psychology, even to professional wrestling, which is still real, guys. I mean, just because it's predetermined doesn't mean those moves are fake, because they're not. But as I sound like that guy, where it's like, it's still real to me, damn it.
It's predetermined, real. Like that. I feel like you're totally right. Like the term predetermined is the term that should be used, right? Like,
yeah.
The outcomes are predetermined because they're telling a story. It is a narrative. And
that's where the psychology can come in with professional wrestling. But like the idea, like I never would have thought about psychology being applied to amateur wrestling, maybe because I never really thought about it. But this movie does a great job of getting you to understand that. And I think that's the other thing of this makes this such a good movie, even if you're not into sports. Because I think some sports movies, if you're not into sports, you're already just kind of like not there. And some movies don't make an effort of kind of bringing you into it.
Right.
Of helping you understand the game.
I agree. I know. I actually agree 100%. That is the other thing about this movie that is kind of crazy. I mean, yeah, this movie is, 161 minutes. So it's, 2 hours, 45 minutes, just shy of 3 hours, right? Mm-hmm. The fact that they're able to tell two rather compelling stories and outline in a non-expository dumping way the basic rules and tenets of amateur wrestling, or at least competitive amateur wrestling, is surprising, because most of these movies would never waste any amount of time doing that. They assume that and there you go.
Yeah.
And I wonder if there's a cut of this movie where they didn't explain that, if that was the thing that they had to go in and add after the fact. I assume that it was there the whole time, because not everybody knows professional wrestling, or at least professional amateur wrestling. So I really appreciate that the movie does take time to explain everything without getting bogged down in it, like it totally could have with just we're just going to exposition dump for, 10 minutes. And it kind of does, but it does it in a way where it's paired with a montage. So it kind of just works.
It does. It does. And that's the thing. Yeah. Because it doesn't feel like a dump.
No, it doesn't. It comes, and also comes so late in the movie that by the time we get to Aamir Khan explaining kind of, okay, now you're in a more structured kind of wrestling. It's not just mud pit wrestling. Mm-hmm. Now you're expected to understand how to score points and how to protect against someone scoring points on you. And you have to be in this circle as opposed to a square. By the point we're at that point, the movie has been on for like 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's crazy. But you don't even, when you're in the middle of it, you don't even think of it like that, because you're just like so locked in to just how everything's unfolding, which is what a great movie does. Like, right. That's the thing is, because I feel like sometimes with like, especially kind of this trend right now where it almost feels like it's expected for every mainstream Hollywood movie to be almost 3 hours long or 3 hours long. And it's like, not everything needs to be that long. Like, I think some movies, 90 minutes, perfect. 80 minutes, perfect. But then some movies like this, like 3 hours. And there are Western movies that are 3 hours long that are great too. I'm not being, super elitist. It's just like, I just always think it's a danger of being like, oh, this is what's expected, so we'll do it like this. Well, that's how you end up not making interesting movies. The minute you lock yourself into any sort of like codification of like, this is what we do. I'm lost. And you know, in the spirit of fairness, does that mean that's not the case over in India? I mean, I'm sure it you know, maybe it is, and it just doesn't feel that way to us because we are American, you know. But this film, I don't know, it did feel fresh to me, and it didn't feel, because I feel like a Hollywood movie too, because we see a scene where like a grown up Gila ends up fighting her dad because she's learning new techniques. And I feel like a Hollywood movie would have had him have a heart attack, because I almost was expecting that at one point, because you see him kind of losing breath. And I'm like, oh shit, is he going to have a heart attack? And then I realized when he doesn't, I'm like, oh God, that's what my brain is trained to expect.
Right.
You know, because that's like, you know, that's what would have happened. It would have been even more like polished. I mean, and obviously there's some liberties taken with this version. I mean, I would say the film's biggest weakness, in fact, is the one, and you know where I'm going with this.
I think so. Oh, yeah. Well, anything to do with that third act is just...
Oh my God, the coach. Why didn't they just call him Snidely Whiplash, the coach? They even had a sound effect. Did you notice that when you find out his dastardly deed? You hear a little like rattle noise that you
like a little their audio stingers are that's a thing that like shows up a lot in Indian cinema, and there's not a lot of 1-to-1 with that and American cinema. Like that's just, you know what I mean? Like it's not, I don't know how to explain it, but that's not a thing that American directors are doing, is putting in like little like audio stingers with like lines of dialogue and stuff. It's very different in a good way, but it does kind of, in this movie, it almost feels like the third act fell into the trap of the biopic. In a way that definitely stands out, and does it hurt the movie as a whole? No, it's a great movie, but it does lessen it a little bit, because like, especially the reveal of like the coach has this guy lock the dad in a closet. Yeah,
like, are you shitting? It's like, what? Like, come on, like, well, and that's where I got taken out of the movie a little bit, because I'm like, okay, that's a bit much. That's a bit much.
And I couldn't find anything anywhere that addressed whether or not that actually happened, because I think we all know it didn't.
No.
It's such a, I would say, just go as far as I genuinely feel, it was the worst part of this entire movie. It's so unbelievable. Not like, oh, you know, that's crazy. It's like, no, it's unbelievable, because I genuinely don't believe that there's any way that could have happened. No. The way that the movie, it feels too much like a movie.
Well, and especially the way, I mean, it's funny. He pops out around the corner as we see the dad being taken off by this guy, you know, that's the decoy, and a little smirk on the coach's face, and then the sound, the little I can't do the noise, but, and it's like, I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? But then I was thinking, well, if the dad wasn't there to watch her at this absolute climactic moment, what would they say? Like he had some intestinal issues and was stuck in the toilet, you know, like I couldn't think of another. I mean, I was like, well, if they're trying to distract him from being there, it's kind of hard to come up with a dramatic thing that isn't farcical, but oh my God, there had to have been something better than him getting locked in the closet.
And it's just, it comes out of nowhere. It's like it's from a different movie. Like this is a movie that has a fair amount of kind of emotional weight to it, especially with the, you know, the back and forth between Aamir Khan and Fatima, who plays Geeta, the older of the two sisters. And there's a fair amount of emotional tension and weight between the two of them. And it kind of feels like the movie robs you of the emotional climax of the movie in a way, by having him locked in that room. Like it all of a sudden introduces this idea of like, save yourself. And it shows a scene that like we never saw up until that point.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
it was
very
almost like
strange.
It was like a deleted scene.
Right, because all of a sudden it shows her drowning in the water. I'm glad to know I wasn't crazy. I thought that I had missed a scene in the movie.
Yeah, no, it was.
This was only in that scene, right? I'm not. We're not crazy. It was just that scene where we see this scene that they reference for the first time, and it should have totally been the second time they referenced it.
Yeah, no, it was weird because the closest we get to that in the first section is we see him training them over the bridge, where I'm assuming that she jumped into the water. Oh, and he's like, there is a scene early on where they're like, no, and he's like, jump, basically tell him to jump in the water, but we don't see them swim. The next scene is a cut as the mother handing them towels to dry while they're shivering. We don't see that scene at all where he's like forcing them to swim on their own, to save themselves. So yeah, that was random.
Well, it's just weird that they like come back to it and they give it such weight when they kind of just pulled a David Chase and cut away from the important part before we saw it, which is a stylistic choice, but that's not, there's a payoff for a setup that didn't happen. And that's a problem. Because they needed to have the setup. They needed to make it a little bit clearer that whatever theme or idea they're trying to get across in that scene, they were introducing there. They introduced it in the last 5 minutes of the movie, and it just kind of falls flat. The climax of this movie for me fell really, really flat, which is super unfortunate because I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed this movie immensely up until about 2/3 of the way through the movie. And then by the end of the movie, the final 10 minutes was just, it felt so corny, frankly. It just felt it felt like a lesser movie took over. Somebody took over this movie in the last 10 minutes. That's kind of what it felt like.
It was the mouse. That was where Disney came in. It was a Disney move.
I wonder.
I mean, I'm being a little facetious. I'm being a little facetious, but that was the one thing in this movie that did feel like, like if anything felt like a Disney, like an American Disney biopic,
right?
It was that villainous coach.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I'm sure their coach didn't like him, or maybe he did. They wouldn't have gotten to that point without their dad training them. I mean, that's one of the big kind of points that the movie makes.
Yeah.
So it's just like, in this movie, we don't need a villain. And if there is a villain, do more with him than they did. Because that's the other thing about the character. The character of the coach, Pramod, at the National Sports Academy that they go to after they become essentially national athletes, they don't even do anything. And there could have been this interesting kind of back and forth about the old ways and the new ways and can they coexist. And they don't even touch on that. They essentially say the old ways are the right ways and the new ways are wrong. Like that is kind of the take of the movie. And with the message being as progressive as it seems to be up until the end, with that scene with the little girl who they go to her arranged marriage and she's like, well, at least your dad thinks about you. Unlike my dad, who sees me as a burden, your dad is actively training with you in the morning and spending time with you and treating you like a daughter. My dad just sees me as a burden. The fact that this is the same movie where we have a character who is the new ways being thrown out for the old ways, as opposed to them coexisting, and that being the message, is kind of weirdly anti-progressive, kind of conservative in a way, in a kind of a weird way, right?
I could see that. The other thing too is like there's a character that's even more ridiculous than him, and I don't think we even get her name, but it's like one of the girls, and I think the only line of dialogue she gets is when Babita comes to join the school. Yeah, the girl's like, oh, a wrestling family. But then you see it's the same girl that's noticing them training with her dad when he moves to the city, and she snitches on them.
Right.
To the coach. But then nothing happens with her. And it's like, well, why is she snitching? I mean, that seemed a little like random too. It's kind of like random bitchy girl, and then she's gone. And then the coach is just kind of like a prideful dick, but we don't see him go into the techniques either. You notice that too? We just have him kind of shouting at them, being like, faster, but then like, it's not even till Gila's like, oh, we're learning these techniques, Well,
and that's what I just don't understand about the second half of this movie when we're really kind of with them all grown up, it's just it starts falling into every single trap of a kind of school movie slash sports movie. Like it just starts falling into every trap of, oh, there's the mean coach, and oh, there's a mean girl who, you know, again, like you mentioned, in a Western movie, she would have been doing what she was doing to get ahead, to get her spot or something. There's none of that. It's just they're creating tension where there doesn't need to be any, because the tension already is two girls from, you know, a poor little town in Haryana that rise to national fame because they spent their childhood being trained by their somewhat militant father, former wrestler, who said, well, I don't have sons. I'm going to train my daughters to do what I wanted my sons to do what I couldn't, which was bring home gold for my country. How is that not like conflict enough? Them versus society, because they did a good job of setting that idea up in the first half of the movie. That's honestly what the first half of the movie is. I don't know why they needed to kind of pivot that message away. Like that message should have stayed throughout. That is the important message. I mean, Aamir Khan reinforces it towards the end of the movie. He's like, hey, you know, look at those girls over there. You see them. If you win tomorrow, you're not just winning for you, you're winning for them too.
Yeah.
And like, you don't need more than that. Like that's more than enough. That's 10x more than enough.
Agreed. No, and I love that speech he gave them, like that, or gave her. It's like, yeah, just focus on that, because that alone is huge. I mean, especially because it's like that whole scene with the arranged marriage, because like even the wedding song, and that's really the closest thing we get to like a musical number proper, because we actually see women singing.
Yeah, like, there's music throughout. It's just montages.
Exactly. So, but like the lyrics, which did kind of crack me up, it was like the groom is so weird, he's a loser. Like they translate to that. But like, and the bride looks so unhappy, and like the bride looks like a baby, and it's like, yeah, she's 14.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus, like that's, you know, and so, and that whole scene where she's crying, like just crying and telling them, at least you guys have a life, at least you have a chance. Like,
I'm kind of surprised they didn't revisit that character in the second act.
Yeah. That's such a good point. I mean, I was okay with the second act, but you're right. Like it could have been like a tighter movie as a whole with kind of that more consistency. And even if the coach, I mean, obviously you can't like get rid of him as a character, but it's like, I mean, he's like a sitcom villain. It's like, it's a lot. And especially because everything else feels pretty real. Everything else feels like, nobody feels sort of like out of a reality. Like everything seems, even though it's a big budget movie, it's like, no, these feel like real people. Like, you know, and then the coach comes in and he's all but like twirling his mustache, and, you know, well, actually I say that there was the government official guy where he tries to get a loan from, and that guy was pretty
it went nowhere with him also. Like I was expecting it to come back, something to come back with him too later in the second act. No, that would have made more sense as the conflict, like against the, you know, the system writ large, not the coach, because the coach ends up being a stand-in for the system, but not really. And then the coach never gets his comeuppance either. If you're going to introduce this character, this kind of villainous character who's already essentially breaking the quote reality of the movie, unquote, then why not have him get his comeuppance at the end?
Yeah.
If this didn't happen anyways, like what the fuck does it matter if you make up a little bit more, if you just gloss it up a little bit more? I don't understand.
Yeah, well, and it seemed so weird to me too, because especially because she kept doing good, and it's like, well, why is he? I mean, you know, does he get paid more if she does worse? Like, I don't know. It just seemed after a while where it wasn't really fully explained. Like, I mean, I get it, he's prideful, but like, do more with that. Or maybe do less with it, because who gives a shit? Let's keep the focus on the girls and the dad.
Well, and that is the other thing about the second act that the movie definitely suffers because of. It suffers because Aamir Khan's not in it as much, because he's not as the second act of the movie is not his story. It's their story. The first act of the movie is their story together, the three of them. And that is why the first act of the movie is really so good, is because the chemistry between Aamir Khan and the two younger actors is really good and really believable. The chemistry with Aamir Khan and the two grown-up actresses is fantastic as well. But the three of them in the first hour and a half, what have you, of the movie is really compelling and interesting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%. And those, and especially like I love the actress that played the youngest, like the young version of Babita, because she had a way of just kind of giggling. And I don't know, it's like she reminded me of an old buddy of mine, his youngest, when she was real little, because she was kind of sassy. And I was like, oh man, it's like, this is so like, she's just got this kind of sass about her, and just the way she would kind of like move her head at times. And I was like, oh man, like these kids are so good. Like they're so good and likable. And they seemed like real kids too, but like good kids. Not when I say real kids, I don't mean like shitter kids.
Right.
but yeah, it would have been nice to do that. But I don't know. But that said, I don't think it's certainly not a deal breaker, but it would have been nice. Sure.
And this is something that, again, we're continuing to run into with Indian cinema films, is the length of the film, at least with some of these that are 2 hours and sometimes even 3 hours plus. There's an intermission, and if there's not an actual intermission, there's kind of an obvious line of demarcation for the first half and the second half of the movie. And in this movie, there's a pretty clear point where you can pause the movie. It even says intermission, and the intermission doesn't come when they're just grown up. It takes a little bit of time after they are grown up to do an intermission. Yeah. So it's just interesting because everything after the intermission is just so generic for what this movie does before the intermission. And that for me, it's not a deal breaker at all. The second half of this movie is still better and still more entertaining than most Western sports biopics have any right being. Mm-hmm. So at least there is that. At least it's still entertaining. Aamir Khan is still there. The actresses that play the grown-up versions of our two leads are just as charismatic as the two child actors who were playing the leads. But the story just doesn't serve the characters the way it does in the first act or the first half. And that's a shame. It really is. Because the older actresses really are not given a whole lot to do compared to the younger actresses.
I agree. Yeah, no, that was the thing too. Because at first I'm like, well, why did I? Because I almost was like, well, I prefer like the kids, but I'm like, well, no, the adult actors are great.
Right.
Like, it's not an issue of having like not good actors or not as charismatic. No, they're great. It's just like, it's almost more staid. I will say though, I did like the little detail of him being sent the actual film reel of one of her matches, and him like going to like basically the equivalent of like, I mean, I don't know if it's a dirty movie theater that's basically like a cement room.
Yeah, it is a dirty movie theater, I believe. That
is the nastiest looking little theater I've ever seen in movie history.
Want to go screen our stag films?
Yeah, and but that little detail was great, and like the titles of the movies were. His like nephew was like, what are we doing here? Wasn't one of them like Lusty Ant or something? The Lustful Ant.
I was wondering something, and there's this kind of this weird moment in the movie, and I wondered if you picked up on it. So the first time that the two young girls, these are young children, go to wrestle, the men in the audience are making really weird comments, not just like,
oh no, it was gross. It was
like gross in like a pedophilic way.
Yeah, where he's like, "Oh, I hope her top gets ripped off," or something like that. Like he was saying,
it was essentially that.
Super grown guys was saying that, and this is when they're still like kids.
14.
Yeah, 14 at the most. Like it was gross. It was gross.
It was a very weird detail to leave in,
and especially because the guy with him. Like was like, yeah, woo, and it's like, oh, gross. Like you would think if somebody said that, at least somebody near him would be like, dude, what the fuck? Like, what is wrong with you? You know?
But I mean, again, it could just be a comment on the state of the culture, because I mean, it is a known thing in India plenty of an innumerable amount of sexual assaults are happening constantly in India because of the disproportionate amount of men to women. I'm not making this up. I'm not the one saying this. This is just unfortunate reality. So maybe it's a comment on that, but like, this is a Disney movie.
Yeah, that was,
It's kind of weird. Like
it was very weird.
I kind of appreciated that it's a serious enough movie to kind of take to task that, but they didn't really do or say anything with it.
No. I mean, yeah, because you would at least hope for like at least a shot of the dad, like at least looking at him, like I will rip your guts out.
Right.
Dare look at or talk about my little girl like that, you weirdo.
Unless it's just a translation thing. Maybe it's just a translation thing. I don't know.
Yeah. We find out like the inspiration. It's like the character's name is Ted Nugent.
It was just like it came out of nowhere is what it felt like. Like it was just such a weird, icky, gross, misogynistic. Again, I get that's what they're getting at in the first half of this movie is that the culture is just very male centric to the point of like women wrestling. Whoa. But like that for me, if that is the line that the actor is meant to say and the translation is more or less that, it is kind of weird tonally for the movie.
Yeah. Unless, I mean, I wonder if those events like that are kind of like a carny, like an equivalent to a carny kind of thing.
It's kind of the way they were positioning it, right?
Right. And or as wrestling people would call Kizarny.
Yeah, I know.
That's a
Kizarny.
And those kind of events, especially in this, I don't know, like I mean, Chris and I are from the American South, the rural South, and I mean, like
this is rural India.
Yeah, and I mean, there's would I put it past some bubbas for at least one of them to be fucked up enough to be like to see like a teenage girl wrestle and be like, ooh, say something inappropriate, nasty? No, it wouldn't. I would be shocked just to be like, wow, okay, thanks for letting everybody know you're a predator, but
right,
So I don't know. Maybe it's that to kind of lend that kind of grit of like, yeah, this is the reality of having to wrestle at some event like this, as well as the culture, the misogynistic, and highly just like this is all girls are sexualized just because you're a girl, no matter if you're 14 or 40, if it's that kind of thing.
I mean, I think I would be inclined to believe it is.
Yeah.
And again, it kind of goes to the message of the first half of this movie, and I think the movie overall, which is, do not discount someone just because of their gender. Don't make assumptions about someone because of their gender, and don't tell someone they can't do something because of their gender.
That's right. Unless you want an ass whooping, bub.
Jesus Christ, I wouldn't want to face either one of them, either Geeta or Babita. No. They kick my ass 6 ways from sundown.
My God, we'd be like arms and slings.
I'd be begging for mercy.
Oh my gosh. Wouldn't it be such a beautiful world though, where the minute somebody tries to step out of line with their bigotry, they just get like, I know that's not very enlightened of me, but I can have my
Heather, I don't want to be enlightened sometimes. Sometimes you just want to see a bigot get punched in the mouth.
Right. I mean, there's a famous like Canadian group called the Frantics. They were like a comedy group in the 70s, and they inspired like Kids in the Hall. But they had a whole thing called Boot to the Head, which was played on Dr. Demento. And there's a guy named Ed Gruberman who didn't want to be this enlightened martial artist. He just wanted to learn how to kick people in the head. And that's why Ed Gruberman was like, my impulse is to just be like, sometimes you just want like, okay, you're being, so-and-so's being racist or transphobic or sexist. Boot to the head. I mean, some people need some manners beaten into them. I mean, it is what it is. Like,
it's some cognitive dissonance beating the manners into someone, but sometimes you just need it, as they would say.
That's right. My middle name is cognitive dissonance, Chris.
Yeah, right. Cognitive dissonance. Thank you very much. It's a hyphenate.
That could be my action hero name. What's
cognitive
your name?
Dissonance?
Cognitive dissonance. Bam, like that. Diamond cutter.
It just, it's refreshing to see a movie like this That's message doesn't get in the way of it being entertaining. That's message doesn't feel like it's being beaten into me either. No pun intended. That's the other thing. Like, imagine this as a Western movie and how just unrepentant they would be with the message of the movie. And it would just never shut the fuck up about it.
Oh God, no. This film handled that so beautifully. And the actresses, like, oh God, yeah. Cause that's the thing, that scene where, where they talk to that poor kid who's being, wedded off, and the way that you could see just the realization on the two sisters' face is just like, it's so good. They don't need to beat you over the head because they know, like, we've got good acting.
Yeah,
like that's we've got some intelligence here with the storytelling too, and the fact that that Aamir Khan, not to keep fangirling.
That's the first time we've brought Aamir Khan up in a while, I feel like.
I've been trying to be restrained,
I gotta let him have his moment.
Yes, but is that's something I was reading that's a champion, our cause he's championed is to to have kind of a better future for women in India, for girls, right. And it's like, okay, Aamir Khan, we already love you. Calm down.
Now you have to be all about humanitarian causes and a philanthropist. Come on, man.
I know. It's like, God, stop being so dreamy.
And that's the thing. I mean, again, Aamir Khan is, the big ones are, Shah Rukh Khan and Amitabh Bachchan. But Aamir Khan is there. I mean, he's one of the three big Khans. I mean, I forget who the other one is, but it's SRK, Aamir Khan, and then I believe there's one more. And that is so apparent when you see movies with him in it, that he's just a seminal talent. He is so talented that even he could make me care about a movie like this one that I, again, would have had no interest in otherwise. He was the entry point for me as a viewer.
Yes. Well, and he's he's that rare actor that has not only the charisma of what you think of with a leading man and, the classic good looks, but he has the talent and that sort of also a different type of charisma that I associate personally more with character actors, because I tend to be more of a character actor person usually than a leading actor person. Because I usually think character actors are more interesting and, tend to be actually a lot more nuanced, I think, as a whole, as far as talent goes.
Right.
It's like the Joe Spinell versus Brad Pitt factor,
Sure.
And God, I love Joe Spinell. That's a whole other show that I watch right now. But Aamir Khan is that rare kind of bird where he is this really gifted actor who can bring different levels to something. Because even the whole thing, people losing weight or getting buff for roles, nothing new. And at this point, it's almost kind of De Niro did it. And when De Niro did it for Raging Bull, it was a big deal because actors typically didn't really do that back then.
Right.
To quote Laurence Olivier, it's called acting, dear boy.
Acting with a capital A.
Yes, acting. An actor. But
and the reason I forgot the other Khan was it's Salman Khan, who killed someone while drunk driving, and then he was convicted in poaching, and he's a massive actor, and I don't want to take away from his acting abilities because he is one of the three Khans: Aamir Khan, Shah Rukh Khan, and Salman Khan. But he's the problematic one.
It's like a family. Everybody's gonna have that cousin.
the one Khan, the Khan that nobody can get along with.
The one where at the family reunion, oh, we're so and so. Girl, he's in jail.
Right. I'm trying to think. I think the most, and this may be a little on the nose given the movie that he was in this year, I think that the most apt comparison possibly for Aamir Khan's acting kind of oeuvre and the style that I get from him when I watch movies with him in it, it might be a little on the nose, but he does kind of remind me of Tom Hanks. I can kind of see it, right?
I can, but I don't. He doesn't hit me that way.
No, he's more endearing than Tom Hanks. I mean, that's, for me, right. He's more endearing. But he has that kind of general endearing quality about him.
He does, but he also is he can be intense in a way that I don't associate with Tom Hanks.
That's fair.
He can be. I don't think of Tom Hanks as dreamy. I'm not a hater of Tom Hanks, for the records. I'm not like, it's not like, no. Like, I'm not a fan of Brad Pitt unless he's playing an actor. If Brad Pitt's playing a role where he's not good looking and forced to be an actor, I think he actually is all right.
Like Burn After Reading.
I haven't seen that.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good in that.
Yeah, I was thinking more like I'm not the biggest fan of 12 Monkeys, but I thought he was really good in 12 Monkeys.
So is there a more apt comparison in your mind to Aamir Khan's Western equivalent, Hollywood equivalent?
Listen, to quote the old song, "Ain't nothing like the real thing, baby." You can't compare.
That's fair.
You can't compare a plastic daisy at a Western sizzling buffet spread to an Indian rose, darling.
That's
okay?
true. That's true. I don't disagree.
I'm like raising the roof because I'm a dork over here.
I don't disagree. I've said it before on this show. Like, I really don't think that there are good Western equivalents for Indian actors, at least not for what they really bring to a film, like the level of gravitas that they bring to a movie. I
would be more interested in like what would somebody who like what an Indian viewer would say is the Western equivalent. That'd be a perspective I would be, because I feel like I'm not. Honestly, Chris, you're better suited for this answer than I am, because you've seen a lot more films than I have. So you saying Tom Hanks, you're honestly more educated to make that.
Yeah, but I only ask because you've seen a lot more Western movies than I have.
Yeah, but most of the Western movies I've seen don't have Tom Hanks.
A lot of them also don't involve people with clothing on, to be fair. So
that's not everything, Chris.
I didn't say everything.
I'm not, dude.
Heather Drain, sex fiend.
No. And cognitive dissonance.
Top Gun. Only Bottoms. It's coming out soon. Coming to a theater near you.
God. See, I went, in my defense, you're the one that went all sausalito on that one. I was the one that made the 80s butt rock joke ploy with that, with the Tops Guns with a Z. I was going to put a Z, a backward Z.
I went the more obvious, disgusting route.
Long Bottom?
Wow.
Is that what you did?
Long Goose.
Long Goose. That was
Long Bottom is a character from Harry Potter that has nothing to do with sex. But now I can't unhear that.
See, I've actually only seen like the first Harry Potter movie.
Neville's Long Bottom.
Was he in the? Well, I don't even.
That's his name. That's the character's name. Neville Longbottom.
Which one was he? The British one? The one into witchcraft was the cowboy.
the one with the vacant stare for the first 3 movies. That one. Oh, that's most of those actors.
I was about to say, like,
that's most of the child actors in those movies.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, though, to think about the child actors in this movie and then think about child actors in like bigger budget movies and how good the kids in this movie are.
Oh, gosh.
To compare it to like Harry Potter, like those Harry Potter movies are goddamn trash with those kids actors in the first 3 movies. They are like the Harry Potter movies. In the first 2 movies, the kid acting is really, really, really bad. It's really bad. Like nobody's going to go to bat for maybe Emma Watson, but the kid actors are bad. And then you put it on a movie like this and it's like, those don't even feel like actors. They feel like the real people and they just put the camera on them. And that is not something that you can do very easily, especially when, again, we know that these aren't the real people in the movie. But again, you could convince me otherwise. That's how good this movie is. And that's how convincing this movie is by the end of it, I was like, yeah, they might not be the actual people, but convince me otherwise.
That's the other thing. If this was a Hollywood movie, because even like the side kids, like, I'm just like there are these boys that like taunt the girls after they've had their hair cut, and and those kids look like real kids. I mean, that's the thing. It's not just that even they act like real kids. They look like real kids. They don't look like William Morris children.
Right.
You know what I mean?
From like central casting.
Exactly. And like the opponents later on, because God, think about it. If this was a Hollywood movie, their opponents would be like a size 0 and weigh like 102 pounds. And it's like, oh, okay, sure.
I like the last girl that Geeta wrestles. She's a hoss.
Oh my God. I think Brock Lesnar has some splaining to do with that one.
Is she Australian? Angelina Watson. And that's the thing. If you wanted to make a villain in the movie, there's your villain.
She was like the Dolph Lundgren in Rocky IV of this movie.
She's like, she's gonna lose. Have fun losing.
My favorite was the real shitty way she said namaste at the press conference.
Namaste.
That's right. Her little smirk, like I was just like, now that was the villain I was living for. I was like, more Angelina and less coach.
Like I didn't get it.
What if Angelina locked her dad? I mean, it would have been equally, if not more ridiculous, but I at least would have been like, you know what? I respect that. That's a bold move.
I honestly though, like it's unbelievable to me that the dad would have actually followed that guy.
Well, that's the thing. As hyper focused as he's been the entire journey.
This is the moment. This is the singular moment.
Yeah. And he's gonna go off with some guy just because it's like, this vague authority figure will be offended.
Oh, fuck him then.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was. I don't know. That was. That was a major weak spot for sure.
I really can't get over how clunky the climax of this movie is. It really does. It just kind of ends the movie on a sour note for me. But the movie is so good otherwise that I kind of don't care. But man, that third act needed some work, just some real work, because the main character doesn't need to be locked in a room. Like that's just like what are you fucking thinking, movie? Like it's just mind-boggling. Like, yeah, I get it. Oh, she's going on the emotional journey by herself and she doesn't need her dad. But like that's not really the story you're telling here. Like,
no,
you're telling the story that her dad's training is what is allowing her to be successful, not that she can do it without him. Like she can, but that's not. It's a shared journey here. It was just very strange. I've never seen a sports movie do that, where like one of the main characters just gets like taken out. But the climax is still the positive climax. The positive result is still gained, but one of the main characters was just locked in a room. It sounds so stupid to explain it. It really does, doesn't it?
It does. I just want this alternate universe where Angelina is the one that is like, actually, it's not the coach, it's her.
Right. I want the alternate universe where Aamir Khan just takes out a piece of chalk and draws a doorknob on the door and opens it, because that's how ridiculous this movie gets, where we're supposed to believe the coach is so angry. Like he still wants her to win. Like if I were the coach for the national team, I'd probably be more offended at this movie than anything else. Like, why'd you make me out to be this bad guy? Like, I don't care.
That was the big mystery my brain kept being like, well, wait, if she's winning,
why does he fucking care?
What's the situation? Like, if anything, this will probably get you a raise.
Right.
You know,
she got the first gold as a woman. Mm-hmm. Like, for India. Like, what? Okay, sure.
Yeah, it's like, even if she doesn't give you credit at the press conference, you could still be like, oh yeah, as a coach, that was one of my students. Right. And that looks good on your resume.
Well, and I mean, it's not like the coach wasn't a shithead himself. He's like, I take full credit for all this, and this was all me. And it's like,
I'm king. Yeah, I know. That was that press conference where he might as well have been like, I'm king shit.
Right, like, look at me. Yeah, it's yeah. Huh. What a good movie though, right? What a fun movie.
I enjoyed this. Actually, as a whole, as much as we are, you know, rightfully so crabbing a little bit about the second act, I loved watching this movie. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And it's not often I see a newer movie that compels me like this one did. So I really enjoyed it. So I'm so glad we got to talk about it. And Aamir Khan, oh my God.
I know, right? Forget what you know about Western leading men. Aamir Khan is the truth.
Well, and you know, the thing is, like, I find so many Hollywood leading men of this era so bland. Like, they're so bland. They're all like hatched out of the same like
Chris
factory.
Pratt egg.
Yeah, it's just like they're all generic white guys with six pack. Like, next.
I'm good. I've had my fill.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you can't really, like that's the thing. It's like with Indian cinemas, I'm learning slowly. It's like, the stars. You mentioned those at the three cons. You could tell each one of those guys apart. Like they all are very distinctive looking and acting people and artists. And I just feel like you don't really get that a whole lot in Hollywood.
No, I would agree. I would agree 100%. And your kind of final thoughts on the movie, like I 100% agree. Like it's a movie that even if its third act is kind of a mess and it just kind of becomes more of what I'm used to with these kinds of movies, this kind of goofy nonsense of creating baddies where there aren't any and, kind of fantastical logic. I loved everything about this movie. And Aamir Khan is just such a charismatic lead. And the child actors are great. Everything about this movie, other than kind of the third act quibbles, is really fantastic. And again, this is not the kind of movie I would gravitate towards if it was a Western film. I don't watch Miracle or any of the other sports, but I've never even seen Field of Dreams. And I bet you've seen Field of Dreams.
Only parts of it, but... that one, that I can't. And Kevin Costner is bland.
Oh,
that is
tell me about it. Yes.
A perfect example of a Western leading man. And I blame all this on Ryan O'Neal, by the way, because I feel like you could trace the blandification of the Hollywood leading man to Ryan O'Neal.
That's fair.
Because, if you go to like classic Hollywood, all of those guys pretty distinctive. Like you weren't going to confuse Clark Gable with Humphrey Bogart. You're not going to confuse Gary Cooper with, like William Holden, or what I mean? Like, it's like each person, and the same with the women. Like Ava Gardner is not going to be confused with Katharine Hepburn. It's, or Lana Turner. It's because I think like a lot of the main actresses in Hollywood too are kind of, a lot of them are boring as well. Like, like now, I mean, Aamir Khan is just, he's a total package, and just him, even if this film's plot does not entice somebody, and if it was on any other film, it wouldn't entice me or Chris, it's worth it. Like the whole film is great, but at the very least, see it for just such a great lead performance, and a guy that just brings it all, brings his A game and then some.
A man who looks good both with a mustache that he can twirl and a full beard, and a buzz cut and a dad bod. Aamir Khan, ladies and gentlemen.
I saw a photo of him with that twirling mustache, and yeah, he can get it.
He can get it all day, every day.
6 ways to Sunday.
He's
Aamir Khan.
He is. I know. He, of all the actors in Indian cinema, I think he's the one that I've seen the most of his films, primarily because I've seen more Aamir Khan movies than I've seen anyone else. I had 3 Idiots, Rangeela, this. So that's like 4. And then on the next episode that you're on of the Bollywood Cinema Club, we're going to be talking about a big budget action movie featuring Aamir Khan with said twirling mustache, I believe, and a top hat, which... It is. My God. I don't think it could be any further from what this is. We're going to be talking about a little film called Thugs of Hindostan, which sounds insane. It looks insane. Aamir Khan looks nutty in the movie. I can't wait. It's an Indian action movie, which you'll get to see what that's like, and they're wild.
Sounds like Christmas is coming early for me. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I've seen other Indian action movies, and they are varying degrees of successful, but they're all fun, at least. Even if they're not the best made movies, they're still fun. They're still entertaining. So I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, clearly, we're both looking forward to it. So until then, Heather, where could people find you if they were looking?
You can find me over at my website, which is mondoheather.com. You can also find me on Instagram and Twitter at mondoheather. And I also have a Patreon where you could read my various ramblings, get sneak peek into upcoming articles and other fun sundries. And that's also at Mondo Heather.
And as for me, weirdingway.com is where you can find this show and all the other shows of the Weirding Way Media Network, which there are plenty, including some episodes where Heather and I talk about movies over at the Culture Cast, and now episodes talking about movies here on Bollywood Cinema Club. So that's where you can go to find all the shows you should be listening to, because if you can't find it there, maybe you shouldn't be listening to it. As for this show, BollywoodCinemaClub.com, Bollywood Cinema Club on all social media, but social media sucks as far as I'm concerned. So just listen, rate, and review the show on all platforms where you get the show. And Heather, thank you so much for joining me. I'm really looking forward to the next time we talk about Indian cinema, because I think it'll be as good as this movie, but maybe even more entertaining.
Oh my God. I'm excited. Thank you so much for having me on, Chris.
And as always, we'll catch you on the next episode.